In the vast expanse of the Atlantic Ocean, where waves roar and winds howl, lies a tale of horror and hypocrisy veiled beneath the grandeur of maritime prowess. This is the story of the Jesus of Lübeck, a ship whose name echoed with religious sanctity while its cargo bore the weight of human suffering. Our journey commences in the bustling port city of Lübeck, nestled along the shores of the Baltic Sea. Lübeck, a proud member of the Hanseatic League, epitomized the zenith of Northern European trade dominance. It was amidst these storied streets and echoing harbor that the Jesus of Lübeck was conceived, a vessel crafted not only for the traversal of oceans but as a symbol of Lübeck's maritime might. The Jesus of Lübeck was no ordinary ship. She was a carrack, a majestic behemoth of the seas, boasting a burden of roughly 700 tons. Her towering masts and sturdy hull bespoke her ability to weather the fiercest of storms. Yet, beneath her imposing exterior lay a sinister purpose. The carrack, with its high sides and expansive decks, was ideal not only for the transport of valuable cargo but, tragically, for the brutal confinement of human lives. As the Jesus of Lübeck set sail, she became entwined with the ambitions of monarchs and the machinations of power. Queen Elizabeth I of England, a monarch known for her astuteness and ambition, saw in the voyages of John Hawkins an opportunity for profit and prestige. Her investment in Hawkins' ventures was not merely financial, it was a tacit endorsement of the burgeoning transatlantic slave trade, a trade predicated on the exploitation and commodification of human beings. Herein lies the crux of the paradox that defined the era, the glaring incongruity between professed religious piety and the abhorrent practices of slavery. European powers, draped in the veneer of Christian virtue, espoused lofty ideals of morality and righteousness, all while actively engaging in the barbarity of human trafficking. The Jesus of Lübeck, with its sanctimonious name, epitomized this hypocrisy, serving as a vessel for the propagation of greed masquerading as divine providence. Hawkins, a seasoned mariner and seasoned opportunist, charted a course fraught with moral peril. His voyages followed a path of exploitation and subjugation, tracing the coastline of West Africa in search of human cargo. Through coercion, violence, and deception, he amassed a grim harvest of souls, consigning them to the abyss of the Middle Passage, a voyage into the heart of darkness, where humanity was stripped bare, and suffering knew no bounds. Hawkins' expeditions were driven not by altruism or benevolence, but by the insatiable pursuit of profit. He navigated the treacherous waters of colonial rivalries, sometimes cloaking his activities in the guise of legitimate trade to evade scrutiny. Yet, beneath the veneer of respectability lay the stark reality of exploitation, a reality where human lives were reduced to mere commodities, bought and sold at the whim of those in power. For those unfortunate souls shackled within the bowels of the Jesus of Lübeck, the journey was one of unspeakable horror. The confines of the ship became a suffocating prison, where the stench of despair hung heavy in the air. Chained and crammed into dark, filthy holds, enslaved Africans languished in squalor, their bodies ravaged by disease, their spirits broken by cruelty. The Middle Passage, once a route of hope and opportunity, became a gateway to hell, a descent into a realm of unimaginable suffering and anguish. Yet, amidst the despair, there flickered a spark of defiance. Enslaved Africans, resilient in spirit, refused to succumb passively to their fate. On-board revolts, though rare and ruthlessly suppressed, bore testament to the indomitable will of those who dared to resist. Theirs was a rebellion against not only the physical chains that bound them but against the very notion of their dehumanization, a defiant assertion of their inherent dignity and worth. In the year 1568, off the shores of Mexico, the Jesus of Lübeck met its fateful end. Ambushed by a Spanish fleet, it became ensnared in a deadly confrontation, a final reckoning for its role in the perpetuation of human misery. Battered and broken, the once proud carrack was seized by the enemy, its fate sealed in the annals of history. No longer fit for its intended purpose, the Jesus of Lübeck languished in obscurity, a tarnished relic of England's involvement in the transatlantic slave trade. Sold for a meager sum, it faded into the mists of time, its final resting place obscured by the passage of centuries. Yet, its legacy endured, a haunting reminder of the atrocities committed in the name of profit and power. The name Jesus of Lübeck, once invoked with reverence, now stands as a chilling symbol of human depravity, a stark reminder of the depths to which humanity can descend in pursuit of greed and exploitation. Its legacy, however, extends far beyond its wooden hull, casting a long shadow over the course of history. Scene transition, disturbing symbol. The juxtaposition of the ship's name with the horrors it perpetuated serves as a potent indictment of the moral bankruptcy that underpinned the transatlantic slave trade. It lays bare the grotesque irony of using religious imagery to justify the inhumane treatment of fellow human beings, a perversion of faith that echoes down through the corridors of time. The voyages of the Jesus of Lübeck mark the dawn of a new era, a dark chapter in the annals of English history. They heralded the onset of centuries of English involvement in the Atlantic slave trade, leaving an indelible imprint on the collective consciousness of nations and peoples around the world. Yet, amidst the grand sweep of history, let us not forget the human cost, the countless lives lost and shattered in the wake of the Jesus of Lübeck and her ilk. Each soul torn from their homeland, each spirit crushed beneath the weight of bondage, bears witness to the enduring legacy of slavery, a legacy that continues to reverberate through the corridors of time. As we gaze upon the murky depths of the past, let us heed the lessons of history. Let us remember the victims of the transatlantic slave trade, whose voices cry out to us from across the ages. And let us vow, in their memory, to confront the darkest recesses of our collective conscience, to strive for a future where the horrors of the past remain but a distant memory, and where the promise of freedom and justice shines bright upon the horizon.